Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it on a Thursday. It was supposed to be the preview show, but I forgot that there's no UFC events this week. So we're still previewing other stuff like all the upcoming fights. There's some big events happening in the near future, and there's just some random and entertaining combat sports news, MMA news, all that good shit to talk about. So we're here to do it, and it's gonna be a good one. So at least I think so. I already had fun with the thumbnail. If you didn't see it, check it out. All this Jon Jones talk is insane, man. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that. So I'm definitely gonna hit on that for a little bit because that's the talk of the MMA world right now. If you see me looking up and stuff, I'm not watching other fights right now because there is no other fights right now that I know of. But I am watching the live stream for my niece's graduation. So it's my youngest niece. She's about to graduate today, and it's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's being live streamed. They're in Phoenix. So while I'm here doing this, I'm watching them try to get the camera correct. Now, this is the school itself that's streaming this, so there's people standing up in the way. I don't know. Hopefully it gets better, but people stop standing in the way of the camera. But yeah, I just wanted to throw it on there and make sure that that I got to see when she walked. So but yeah, big congrats to Violetta, and I'm happy for her, and I'm proud of her, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So I'm glad that she is getting to do the walk and everything, and nothing stopped her from doing that. She did really well, really good grades, and she's moving on to bigger, better things. So that's awesome, and I just wanted to say congratulations to her on that one. As I'm sitting here, and I know it's going to be a while. Who knows? I might be done before she even gets to walk. But either way, at least I'll be getting to watch it. So I'll be looking up and down every once in a while. But yeah, other than that, not much else going on. This is a slow week because Memorial Day is coming up, and I'm happy to have Monday off. That's awesome. But yeah, graduation time is crazy right now. That's all you see everywhere. People's cars, signs in yards, social media posts and all that. So congrats to all the graduates out there, man. I mean, it's time to celebrate, and it's that time of the year. And, everybody that gets to make that walk is, either fought real hard or maybe coasted through or anything like that. I know I was happy and lucky to be able to make it to my graduation. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do that when I was in high school. I had a lot of things in my way, but I made it and I did it. So yeah, I'm happy that I did. So I didn't go to college, but I made it through high school, and that was a big feat for me. So big ups to everybody out there graduating. And what's up, Infinity, in the chat? Anybody else that is watching and wants to jump in the chat, go for it. We're gonna have some fun stuff to talk about in a few, so I'll be getting to that. And yeah, that's it. I mean, we got a long weekend coming up, and that's awesome, but no fights. Not out of any of the big organizations. I think one championship might have a fight, which obviously they're a big organization, but they have fights like kind of like the UFC where it's every week, and unless you follow it closely, it's tough to know who's all fighting, but it's still entertaining. So you can go check that out. I think that's tomorrow night. And I think that's it. There's some lower level organizations that might have fights, since I think I saw something from like Tough Enough or something like that. But that's it. So yeah, that's what's happening this weekend, but we got a lot to talk about here. So definitely had to do the show still. I know I did one on Sunday. That's going to hopefully be my new thing, is either Sunday or Monday. I haven't decided yet. It might jump back and forth for that date, but I will always be here on a Thursday, consistently, and that's the plan. So it'll be earlier in the week and then Thursday. Those will be the 2 days, and I'm going to keep that going as long as I possibly can, because I feel like it's good to break it up. It's relieve some pressure from me, actually. Instead of me feeling like I have to prep more, I actually have to prep less, just to get to the one day instead of having to go over all this stuff and not be able to fit in certain things. Might be able to fit in more things like this. And then the show doesn't have to go as long either if I don't ramble on about nothing. So yeah, it should be fun. I feel like, you know, for the first week I kind of screwed up with it not being a preview week because there's not being an event this weekend, but that's all right. We're still going to make it through, and I still got stuff to talk about, so I can't complain too much. So we're here to do the damn thing, and we got to get started with a bang with that Noctane smelling salts. Got to give the shout out to my sponsor. I'm juggling the bottle around because I always forget which side is better to put it on, but Noctane smelling salts, check it out. Red cap's the most potent. You'll see why in a minute. But there's a white cap and a black cap. Go check out their website. You can look at that QR code over there, actually, and scan that. It'll take you straight to their webpage, and you can go check it out. It's a nice website. It's fun to look at and very informative. So there's also a link in the description. Go check that out. Of course, they're my sponsors, so got to shout them out. Got to get those links in. Let's take a quick hit real quick, and then we'll get to what we're here for. Oh, I was shy on the first one, and the second one got me. That's how it usually works. Oh, and then I thought I was going to sneeze. Oh, man. Okay. There we go. Potent. My eyes started watering right away. But this, I love the most potent. It's the most fun. But if you don't want to, you know, go that hard right away, you can try the white cap and get yourself acquainted and try it out. It's fun. So yeah, Infinity 2 times a week now. That was kind of my plan when I stopped doing the other one, but I couldn't pull the trigger. I didn't feel comfortable to do it. Thank you, Noctane Smelling Salts, for the sponsorship, by the way. And yeah, I finally decided that to just, you know, jump in head first and do it. So Sundays or Mondays and Thursdays. For sure Thursdays every time. Sunday and Monday, a little iffy so far. We'll see what settles in. But I did it on Sunday this past weekend, and that was nice. So, but you know, the weekends are tough, and yeah, I just like getting that good reaction early in the week instead of waiting until Thursday. It feels a little outdated sometimes. So we'll make it work, and hopefully it'll be a good thing, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it. So as for that, I'm going to take a sip here. It looks like they're getting started with the graduation. I see the speaker at the podium, so that'll get rolling as well. I'll be taking peeks. And Infinity says, we'll be starting back ASAP. Congrats for you. A lot of work. Yeah, for sure, man. But thanks. I appreciate that. Always appreciate the support and nice words, man. And yeah, we'll wait for you to come back too. It's been a minute. So let's get into things here. We're going to get started. And with the one and only thing we have going this week, which is combat sports news. So we won't be changing that up, but we got a lot of stuff to go through in there. So let's get going with that. And we'll start off with some boxing, because we got some boxing news. And it was a little confusing because we saw this not too long ago. Turkey El Sheikh announced that, yo, what up, Combat Sports Today? What's going on? Appreciate you jumping in, being here to talk some combat sports. So thanks, guys. Yeah, we're talking about some Canelo versus Crawford, and that's because Turkey El Sheikh decided to jump out and say that they have confirmed a promoter, even though we thought before it was going to be TKO. It is now Saga for Riyadh season, according to Turkey. The broadcaster has not been decided yet, but the date also changed, and it'll be Saturday the 13th of September. More details soon. Now that's interesting because obviously we were told that Dana White and TKO were going to be promoting this, and now he's turning it around and saying Saga from Riyadh season is going to be doing it, which, I mean, that's been a thing with them. But Ray, what up? Alex Pereira versus Prime Chuck Liddell at 205. Who you got? That's an interesting one, and that's actually kind of tough, man. Shit, Alex Pereira versus Prime Chuck. Honestly, I think Pereira would take it. He he's a little more controlled and a little more technical, I think. So I think Chuck Liddell was a marauder. It was good for his time, but even in his prime, if he's fighting Pereira today, even after losing and all, I don't think he could win. So I would have to take Pereira on that one. But that's an interesting question. I never thought about that one. So it's a good question there. Appreciate that. So yeah, we got Canelo versus Crawford was supposed to be, it was said to be Friday, September 12th, because September 13th is supposed to be the Noche UFC card. I just found your channel, great content. Oh, thanks, man, appreciate that. Hopefully you subscribed, and but yeah, thank you. I appreciate you being in here, and I'm glad you found it. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today, so yeah, stick around, join in anytime you want. But yeah, so September 12th was supposed to be the date. They changed it to September 13th, so now that kind of conflicts with when Noche UFC is supposed to be. And then taking Dana off as being the promoter, that's interesting, and that is something that I wonder about. So we don't know much more than that. There hasn't been much else said, so unless I've missed it, but I mean, that's always a possibility. But that's the last thing I heard, and I just thought it was interesting considering this is such a big fight. And now they're, you know, we saw in the past where Canelo was sitting in the locker room, sitting back waiting for a UFC event to finish before they got him out there to fight. I don't think that's going to happen these days, because the UFC is a different thing, and boxing has been pretty hot. So whether they want to do something like that or not, who knows? And you know, it was also supposed to have been at the Raider Stadium in Vegas, and now who knows? But the UFC is going to be in Mexico, so they don't have to worry about conflicting in the same city. But we don't know what the venue is going to be like yet, and no broadcaster yet either. We assumed it was going to probably be like Netflix or something, but nothing's been said. So that's interesting, and just a little bit of news from boxing there, and that big fight that's coming up in September. The Canelo news is always big, especially when he's fighting somebody like Terrence Bud Crawford. I mean, it's going to be a big fight. Everyone's going to be ready for it and excited for it. And it was supposed to be the first TKO event too, and now that's not happening. So we'll wait and see what's up with that. Let's move on to a little more boxing. Another interesting one. MVP, Most Valuable Productions or Promotions, announced an all-women's fight card in July live on Netflix. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, which is a fun fight. We've seen it once before, and this will be a rematch. Katie Taylor got the win in the first one, which I don't think a lot of people expected that, but she got the unanimous decision win over Amanda Serrano. So, and that was back in November of last year. I need to see that watch party. Oh shit, maybe we'll see what happens when we get closer to that. But yeah, that might be fun for a watch party, an all women's fight card. And I mean, we got some other big names in there too. Alicia Baumgardner versus Jennifer Miranda, Savannah Marshall versus I always mess up her damn it, where did it go? Savannah Shadeja Green, that's what it is. Every time I try to say it without looking at it, I fuck it up. But yeah, so there's 6 championship fights on here, and yeah, I mean, Chantel Cameron's on here. There's a lot of good names for women's boxing, and I think this is a good thing for women's boxing. A lot of championship fights on one card. That's kind of what you should do with a all women's card like this, because you know, we know how it is. Like we can't cap on it, right? When it comes down to it, a lot of people aren't that into women's fighting in general, much less boxing. Women's boxing has just come up recently. It was never that big back in the day. A lot of people just didn't like to watch it. And like in the, I mean, from what I understand, like in the days that Holly Holm was boxing, man, I didn't even know who she was back then. And then she gets in the UFC, and now everyone knows who she is, and she's returning to boxing. That was announced recently too, and she's going to be fighting for MVP. she's gonna be on that undercard with Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So that should be interesting to see Holly Holm back boxing again. She's already had a crazy career in boxing. She did some big things in the UFC, and now she's back fighting boxing again. So that should be interesting and fun. But yeah, this all women's card, Madison Square Garden, July 11th, live on Netflix. MVP, the promoter. And you know, Jake Paul does some stuff like this, man, and I love his support and everything he does for Amanda Serrano. That's like his road dog, and when it comes to boxing, and you know, he takes her everywhere with him, and he does big things for her, and I'm sure she appreciates that, and it's nice to see that coming from a promoter like him. Even though he doesn't get a lot of respect, I understand that, but these are the things that I like seeing coming from MVP, and you know, with the support of Jake Paul and everything else. So should be an interesting one. A lot of championship fights. We'll have to, you know, touch on it a little more when it gets closer, and dive a little deeper when we get there. So moving from traditional boxing to a little dirty boxing. DBX2 is coming up June 14th. I'm excited for this one. There's a lot of ex-UFC fighters on here. There's a lot of interesting guys on here fighting in general. I've been like, ever since the first event, you know, and hearing more and more about it, watching what went down in the first event and how they carried themselves, how they presented themselves, the way the fights went down. You know, it's like that old school gritty, like in a warehouse, fucking dim lighting, just getting dirty, doing some dirty boxing, and I love it. That's some shit that I can't wait to see. I'm excited for this one, man. I mean, look at this. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is fighting in the main card. Let me pull this up so I can actually read this shit, because I'm getting old and that shit is tiny on my screen. But I meant to pull this up already, but stupid me. I was involved in making sure I had this this live stream going for my niece's graduation, so I got a little behind, but that's okay, because you'll bear with me, and it'll be worth it, because we're going to talk about this dirty boxing event. And like I said, I'm excited for it. Let's see, where is it? I'm getting there, putting that on the calendar too. Yeah, definitely, you need to, because this is going to be good. Here we go. I don't know why their webpage wasn't the first one that popped up. That's kind of annoying, but yeah. Okay, here we go. Fight card. Yeah. So we also have Alex Caceres fighting Bruce Leroy. I mean, I never thought I'd see him in something like this. I mean, he's such a martial artist. That's how you think of Alex Caceres. That's how I think of him, at least. I mean, watching him in The Ultimate Fighter and then watching his career in the UFC, I mean, he's always been one of those guys that I don't think about all the time, but when I see him fight, I'm happy to watch him fight. I like his style. I just like the dude in general. Just a lot of those guys that I saw that I connected with quickly on The Ultimate Fighter, guys and girls. I happen to, you know, every time, even if I don't follow them closely, every time they're fighting, it's just one of those things I sit down and I watch it, because I'm just like, this is dope. So also former UFC fighter Jessica Rose Clark, Jessie Jess, is fighting. Phil Hawes is fighting. And then we got Alex Nicholson versus Rob Perez, the Wolf. That's gonna be a damn good one. The Wolf is a fucking maniac, bro. He is crazy. If you want to be fucking entertained, go look at his Instagram. That shit is so sick. In a good way. Just entertaining is all hell. He hit some smelling salts too. They're liquid. I don't even know. I never even knew they did that shit. But you could see him going nuts. And I'm talking, he rips this shit like 3 times in a row, 3 different bottles. I'm like, motherfucker is a savage, and it's dope. So yeah, and that's gonna be a fun, crazy fight. If you watch the first event with him on that, holy shit, they had to pull his ass off his opponent. That's how crazy he went. Savage mode was turned on. The Wolf came out and he was ready to eat, and he fucking ate. So that shit was nuts. Francisco Trinaldo is fighting on this card. I mean, this is crazy. Boston Salmon all ex-UFC fighters. I'm looking for, I need first names because I don't know all these opponents by first name, and I just can't seem to find an actual I can't seem to find an actual breakdown of everybody's full name, because I want to say I know some of them, but let me find it real fast. Okay, here we go. Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Devin Schwann. Alex Caceres versus Sadika Kakramanov. Alex the Spartan Nicholson versus Rob Perez, which, by the way, also Rob Perez throwing down with the shit talk on Instagram. It's fucking crazy. And he's just, I mean, all kinds of memes, all kinds of shit when it comes down to it with that fight. So there's a lot of heat right there. That's going to be a fun one. Jesse Jess versus Marilla Moraes. Phil Haas versus Sasha Politnikov. Francisco Trinaldo versus Eric Moon. Solomon Renfro versus Peter Stranonik. Luis Saldana versus Martin Justice. Boston Salmon versus Lamar Brown. Man, that I just fuck. That's gonna be dope. I can't wait. Yeah, and that's just gonna be an event to look for. And then if you don't know much about DBX, just a quick rundown of the rules. It's boxing with elbows. They're 3-minute rounds. Ground and pound is allowed, but it has to only be after an opponent is dropped. So you have to drop them, like you can't take them down. But if you hit them with a punch and they drop, you can stay on your feet, but your feet have to be on the ground. You can't go to a knee. You can't drop all the way down and mount them. Your feet have to stay on the ground, and you have to stay standing. But you can do ground and pound, and you can watch Rob Perez fuck his opponent up while he's on the ground and he doesn't want to stop. That was the last one I watched, and that's why I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, it's a fun thing to watch, man. They're 4-ounce gloves. I think in the first event they fought with 5-ounce gloves, and then they revamped it a little bit and dropped it. You see Alex yeah, why do I do this to myself? I'm so excited talking about it, and I had all these other names, and now I'm forgetting the legend, fucking the goddamn, I can't remember who's on the fucking poster right here. This is pissing me off. I need to stop this. I need to start taking some brain pills because I get all jumbled up, and then I forget things, and that's annoying. So whatever. He used to fight in the UFC as well. I can't think of his damn name. I wish somebody would tell me. If I was listening, I'd probably be screaming it at the screen because I would know offhand, but I just can't think of it right now. That's okay. Anyway, that's your rule set. A quick breakdown of that. Mike Perry is part, basically co-founder of this, and at the first event you saw Jon Jones there. There was all kinds of people there. It's a fun event. Everyone seems to have liked the way it went down, the way it was presented. So June 14th, definitely going to be seeing that and watching it. I hear double music. Why is that? Did I hit something? Let's go here. Let's move on. Okay. So Dirty Boxing, go check that out. It's fun. If you want to go look at the first event, it's worth it. I promise. Anyway, moving on. So we had Jose Aldo, who fought in recently, and unfortunately wound up losing. And he kind of alluded to retiring, but no one was 100% sure. Well, he went ahead and confirmed it. I'm trying to see. I feel like I hear double music, but it might just be me. This happened last time, but that's okay. It was just kind of driving me nuts. But so yeah, he confirmed it on. He was on some Brazilian network, I think. Oh, Infinity says it sounds good. Good. So it's just me, and that's okay, as long as I know it's good on your guys' end. So he said, offer me any fight, whatever it is. I don't want to. I don't see myself fighting anymore, or training, or doing anything like that. Of course, I do see myself training here to help my friends. I know how hard that is. So if I can help in any way with the experience I have, I will help with all my heart. but to specifically put a gi or anything like that to fight, never again. So the legend Jose Aldo retires again for the final time, and it sounds like he's not going to fight at all ever. When before, you know, he retired, he had a stint in boxing where he did pretty good. And you know, it was nice to see him continuing to fight in any way, shape, or form. But being retired from the UFC, you know, he did that boxing, and then he came back, and he did all right. You know, it wasn't a horrible streak, but he lost a close fight in his last one, and that's it for him. He's calling it quits. You know, it was a tough fight against Amin Zahabi. He had some success with that the head kick and the knee. He had Zahabi down, and when it looked like it was going to be over, Zahabi, you know, he survived, and he came back to win, you know, to do enough to win. So unfortunate for Aldo, but you know what, at least he didn't go out on a stretcher. At least he didn't go out with a horrible knockout where everyone was wondering why he's even fighting. You know, he gave it a good second go, and I appreciated it, and it was nice to see the legend again for a little while. But the King of Rio is hanging up the gloves in every way, shape, and form. And, you know, being the good guy that he is, he's still going to train and help friends with training and stuff like that, but he's done. So thank you to Jose Aldo once again for all of the legendary fights we've seen from you, and all the great memories, you know, good and bad. I mean, even though he got knocked out against McGregor, it's still something nobody ever forgets. And the fact that he was able to continue on for so long and outlast so many people, you know, coming from the WEC, he's one of the last guys to really be successful and continue in the sport, and now he is done. So good luck to him on everything he does from here on out. So let's get to the funny and crazy saga of Jon Jones, because man, like, no one knows what the fuck's going on here. Because as you can see at the top there, it says, I'm done. Now, obviously that's not confirmed. He hasn't officially announced he's retired, but this is what everyone's confused about. So he continuously says he's living his best life. He's doing this reality show in Thailand. It's a Russian reality show being held in Thailand. That's why I was confused about it when I talked about it before. But he's doing this reality TV show alongside Nate Diaz. They're the coaches, and that's interesting enough, right? But you know, he's been on Instagram Live. He's been on just posting everywhere about, you know, living his best life, riding around on motorcycles. He's hanging off the back of a motorcycle, like, you know, holding onto some dude's hair. That was kind of weird. I don't know what that was about, but
that's nasty.
But it was strange. But he just seems to be having a good time with it, and he's doing his thing. So I mean, we can't really hate on him for that, but no one knows what he's doing. Everyone wants him to fight Tom Aspinall. He was the thing about I'm done, and I put it in quotes, is because he said that. But he said that on a phone call that was being filmed for some reason, and the person on who he was talking to, I'm not sure who he was talking to, was saying, man, you're a legend, you're a GOAT, you're like, you know, you still got a lot in you, like 10 more years or something like that. I don't know, this person was just going off, and he's like, no, he's like, no, I'm done. And it's like, wait, what? Did we just hear him say he's done, as in done fighting? Because this guy's talking about how he's got 10 more years of success in fighting that he can have and all this other stuff, and he's like, no, I'm done. It's like, wait, did we just hear something we were not supposed to hear, or like what the hell? So he continues on. He's trolling people on X. He's posting shit left and right, and no one knows what to do with it. So someone said, enjoying your last days as champ before being stripped. I see, John? He said, stripped? LOL. Do I come across as the type of person who cares about things like that? Obviously, he doesn't give a shit about things like that. He's been stripped like 2 or 3 other times. He vacated. You know, there's so much stuff in his history. Now, also in his history, the reason why a lot of people consider him the GOAT is because he is such a great fighter. There's no way around it. He's talented. He's got the skills. And even though we haven't seen much from him in the heavyweight division, he's now a 2-weight class champ. So, and he's the current champ in the heavyweight division, but he's not being active. He's at the tail end of his career. We've known for a while he's got one foot out, but he beat the shit out of Cyril Gane in fucking a very short amount of time. Choked him out quickly. I guess you can't really say he beat the shit out of him, but he just made him look bad. But he definitely choked him out quickly. Kind of amateur move on Cyril Gane's part, I feel like, but Jon Jones still did his thing. He was a dominant opponent, and he won the championship. That's how he won the belt. So you got to give him props for that. Regardless, we've all known Cyril Gane to be a tough opponent, and he did the damn thing. So it is what it is. But also, he has all of the controversy. He has all of the shit that has surrounded him in this game, whether it's dropping dirty for picograms, whether it's domestic violence, car crashes, getting arrested, shooting off guns illegally, doing drugs. Fuck, man. There's so much, and still he has been able to overcome all that and continue to win in the cage. But how much longer do we get that for? And are we ever going to get it again? Because he can't seem to commit to fighting Tom Aspinall, and Tom Aspinall is 100% the guy he should be fighting next. Tom Aspinall has been an interim champ for over a year. Tom Aspinall has defended his interim championship, which, what the fuck is that? We've seen that once before, but those were different circumstances when it came to, I think it was Barao. Renan Barao had to defend an interim championship because of Dominic Cruz being injured for like 3 years and all this other shit, right? But Jon Jones doesn't have any of those problems, and he hasn't been getting into legal issues either. So why the fuck is he not fighting? This is why, if you see his like avatar there for X, his profile picture is like a duck, because that's what everyone keeps calling him, saying he's ducking Tom Aspinall. But is he ducking Tom Aspinall, or is he just holding out because maybe he's got one fight left in him and he's wanting it to be at his time? He wants it to be him deciding when he's gonna fight. We heard about the $30 million that he was asking for, and it sounds like at this point that the UFC is willing to pay him, because if they weren't, then we would hear more negative things coming from Dana White. And all Dana White keeps saying is, this fight's happening, I'll let you know, it's gonna happen, guys, it's gonna happen soon. So when though? Is it gonna happen in November? Because Jon Jones likes to fight at Madison Square Garden. He's done it before, and I wouldn't doubt he does it again. That's the last time he fought. So is that what we're waiting for? He mentioned something too about wanting to have like 6 months to prepare. I fucking hope you're preparing now. But you're off in Thailand living your best life on a motorcycle, fucking doing a reality show. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening. But people are talking mad shit online, and he's responding. So in response to what he said last about being stripped, someone else said, yes, otherwise you would have vacated the belt a long time ago, because you don't plan to fight Tom. He said, y'all barking up the wrong tree. I told the UFC my plans a long time ago. I have no clue why they haven't shared them with you guys yet. Why don't you just share them, Jon? Just fucking tell us. Because you seem to give a shit about what people are saying, or you're just a massive troll. That's probably more like it. But you're telling everybody that your plan's out there for the UFC to tell. Why don't you just tell us? Just tell us and shut everybody up. Either you're done, or you're gonna have that one fight, but you're gonna do it when you want to do it, because you're a diva. and maybe you've earned that. Maybe you have. A lot of people consider him the GOAT, and I understand why. But and I give him all the props for his talents and all the things he's accomplished. But just get it over with, man. Just get the fight over with, or just be done. And I'm not saying vacate, I'm saying fucking retire, because it seems like that's what you want to do. So I mean, his plans, what's his plans, and why is the UFC not telling us? You know, they were holding out with stuff because of the, you know, the broadcast deal. They're holding out because they're, you know, they want to make these big matchups when it counts, and I understand that that's business. But in the meantime, we got Tom Aspinall fucking wasting away the best years of his life. This is quickly becoming a Michael Chandler versus, you know, Conor McGregor shit, but with higher stakes, way higher stakes. Maybe not in the money, or maybe it is in the money, but regardless, it's higher stakes here because of the championship being on the line. So stop. Let's just stop. Let's just get to it and fucking do it. And if you're waiting until November, just tell us, hey, this is going to be the November fight. Fucking shut up already. Tell everybody. I don't know. Dana White would love to tell everybody to shut the fuck up about it, because I'm sure he's sick of hearing it, and I'm sure he's sick of talking about it. But, and the last one I have here, it says, how does it feel to be retired? And once again, cryptic messages. He says, I don't know if I want to call it retired. I feel like I've always had the ability to pop out and show them. I've had many breaks throughout my career. My identity outside of fighting is well intact. I'm genuinely enjoying life. I'm growing in different ways. Yeah.
Get your fucking shit together, my God.
Coming from the guy who can't get his fucking shit together. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know about this anymore. I'm kind of sick of hearing about it, but I had to talk about it because, again, it's a slow week, but this has been everywhere for the past few days. He's been active on social media talking mad shit, and he's got this, you know, reality show that's getting a lot of attention as well, and we're going to get into that here in just a minute. But, you know, he's out there being a troll or just talking shit. Regardless, we don't know what the hell's going to happen, and I feel bad for Tom Aspinall. I wish that he wasn't the one having to deal with this shit, but it is what it is, because Tom never did anything to Jon. It's not like the DC thing, but maybe he needs to do something to Jon, because DC got Jon riled up and got Jon wanting to fuck him up. So maybe that's what Tom needs to do. We've seen the little weird interaction when they you know, went face to face and talked to each other on that stage where they were, you know, signing autographs for some event or something, and Tom put his hand on Jon's shoulder and Jon pushed it away. That's the most we've seen, besides Jon saying, oh, what has he done, why does he deserve it? I mean, that's just stupidity. But we haven't seen much else. So I think we need to get this moving, get this over with, and fucking let us move on. Until then, you're never going to stop hearing this shit. You're always going to be a duck. If you leave without fighting Tom Aspinall, you're going to be a duck. But guess what? People still think you're a duck for not fighting Francis Ngannou when they tried to make that happen. So you're still going to have that there. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people with an opinion. And I understand just living your best life and genuinely being happy with where you're at. But man, stop holding up the division. Stop holding up a guy who deserves to continue moving forward. Hey, they're doing the slideshow and my niece just popped up. I'm glad I got to see that one. That's badass. So yeah, continuing with the Jon Jones stuff, except in a different way. We'll talk about his counterpart in the Ultimate Fighter type show that they're doing in Thailand, and that is Nate Diaz. Peacing out because now he's not doing it anymore. And that's because Nate Diaz and his team left a Russian reality show called AFL Global after a brawl broke out. Hold on, I got something to say about that.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Nope, we're not surprised whatsoever. After a brawl broke out during filming in Thailand, the incident, which also involved Jon Jones and his team, didn't involve Jon Jones except for him trying to break shit up. But one of his guys on his team was what this all was like revolving around. But it says it escalated after a disagreement between Diaz and Zalman Khan. Yusupov, I don't know. Diaz slapped the fighter, and then someone from Diaz's team punched him. So, of course, you fuck with the 209, you fuck with the scrap pack, they're gonna do something about it. And Nate Diaz is definitely gonna slap the shit out of a Russian fighter, being that he continuously talks shit about Khabib and how he was weak and lame and everything else, and about all the Dagestanis who like to wrestle and are dominant in that fashion. But he talks mad shit, and of course he's not gonna let a Russian fighter talk shit to him. So apparently I heard this in another video about how Jon Jones was talking about the guy involved in this that got slapped by Diaz was basically just trying to mess around with Diaz, but talking shit at the same time, saying he wants to like play fight with him. And Diaz was already in a bad mood because apparently he's got, you know, some outside beef going on with somebody else, and already hates some of these guys. But I mean, what did you expect when you're in a Russian reality show? It's like, come on, man. This was probably a bad idea in the first place. So either way, the brawl broke out, which we'll see in just a second because I do have a video. And yeah, he left the show, and it's over for him. According to Jon Jones, they had to find a replacement. So the show's continuing on. Who knows what happened to the guy that was involved that got slapped and everything like that. But let's take a quick look at what happened through some of the brawl. Of course, Nate Diaz has a longtime friend and training partner of his, Jake Shields there. Jake Shields on another level of crazy, by the way. God, if you follow him on social media, cringe, fucking outlandish, unhinged shit that he talks about. But you know what? Yeah, him and Bryce Mitchell are on the same level in some ways, but it is what it is. And this is from Jake Shields' perspective. He's narrating a bit here. Let's get into that.
Walking the fighters out. At this point, nothing too crazy had happened. They've walked out 5 or 6 fighters. Things were looking. The fighters had fought each other, but nothing with us. So I was feeling a little chill. That's why I wasn't right up there. I was talking to Jon Jones' manager. As you can see, this fighter's talking to Jon Jones right now.
So there's the guy in the hat that you saw walking up and that's dabbing it up with Jon Jones right now is on Jon Jones's team, and he's the guy that basically caused all the issues.
He shakes the boss's hand. The guy, he seemed to be running everything. You can see here, you know, he's talking to Jones for a while. It turned out, I think, you know, Jon Jones has been
I don't know what they're doing.
Hanging out with him the night before, riding bikes together.
It looks like he's got his phone out.
You know, obviously, I wasn't aware, but the main guy had brought this guy out in the season before. This guy had choked out Aljamain Sterling.
So there's been problems with this guy before.
I didn't watch the show, so I didn't realize the fighters were trying to fight. I didn't know the fighters were fighting the fighters. I figured, you know, it's Russia, it's possible. That's why I came out watching Nate, but I was a little too relaxed. You know,
now he's just talking about how he should have been more alert and paying more attention.
Yeah, now he's talking to the boss. Now right here he comes to Nate, and he starts saying like, "Oh, I'm a gangster." See,
oh, so see, he dapped him up, and then he like faked a takedown. So I mean, that's a problem right away. You can't do that shit with Nate Diaz. He doesn't play like that, especially with Russian guys who cause a lot of problems.
Flashing at Nate a little bit. You see Nate flashing back.
Now they're talking shit.
And they're running his mouth. But, you know, I wasn't paying attention. It should have been my fault. But luckily, our guy Jose right there, he's watching. You can see him.
Diaz slaps him. And, of course, everyone starts rushing in.
Same situation. And Nate just went and slapped him. So as you see, Jose comes up. Now the guy just started trying to spaz out, acting crazy as people circle him. Like, I didn't know this guy was known for fighting, but bam, you know, our guy just popped him in the head right there.
Yep, so he just got punched twice.
Smacked back.
And that's from one of the guys from Diaz's team. Of course, you know, the Diaz army is going to step in and fucking handle things. Nate Diaz doesn't have to do shit if he doesn't want to. But, you know, I'm sure he's thinking in the back of his head, like, am I going to get in trouble for this? Apparently, there's a fuckload of Dagestani and Russian guys that are in this room and around this room. And, of course, you know, they're loyal to their own kind as well. And you know, you never know what kind of shit's gonna go down. But Diaz doesn't play. He doesn't give a fuck. And yeah, he's gonna get to it.
Now he hypes up, trying
nuts.
to pretend like he's gonna hit everyone. Like I said, had I been smart and watched the show, I'd realize this guy's constantly being in fights.
So Jake Shields is just talking about all the problems that they've had with this guy before, and the fact that he is basically an instigator and has fought other people in previous shows.
Videos of him consciously coming up and choking people from behind. You walk back, you see no one's
So
really,
this looks just like, whatever, what the fuck's going on, people just pushing each other, weak, lame fight, not really a fight,
this is just one
but this dude's still going nuts.
One of 3 stores, plus there's guys all outside. So clearly they could walk this guy out, but they're not.
And there's
really
Diaz just chilling, like, what's this fool gonna do? Nothing going down, looking like it's calming down.
Shit, these guys are gonna be trying fighting me. So at that point, I started
Jon
being a lot
Jones
more on guard watching.
Next thing you know, here
Here's
comes
the
this
guy walking back
motherfucker.
in the house for like the 3rd or 4th time after like 30 Chechens drag him out. They're pretending they can't security him. So here's like our media guy.
Now melee breaks
He just
out.
choked him and threw him on the ground. So clearly he's mad. He got dropped by a media guy.
He's kicking people.
So here he's coming at him. Again, this guy's not a fighter at all. He's throwing at him. He goes to
missing.
off him, but he tripped. So
Somewhat of a takedown. There's Jake Shields getting involved.
like you said, this is like the 3rd or 4th fight at this point.
3rd or 4th fight, he
reality
says.
show, not fighting random people.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Infinity says he should have never been allowed back in, but hey, this is like a Russian show. I guess apparently the all of the crew are like Russians, so they all got each other's backs, and they probably see it in the way that this is views, and it seems like this wasn't the only time that this shit happened during this show, and that there's just been nonstop craziness. I'm surprised that the UFC is even letting Jon Jones do this.
So here's where I'm
Holy
getting
shit,
jumped.
there's Jake
I'm
Shields
getting
on the
jumped
ground,
top side.
basically
all the
getting
fighters
jumped.
are down below on the chairs. They tried telling me that the fighter jumped me, but to me it was very clear that it was the staff and the workers.
So now he's saying that the staff and the workers were the ones that were involved in jumping him.
One of those moments where I was like, okay, I better defuse the situation, because what you see there is just a small percentage of the guys that were there. He said there was over 100 Chechen and Dagestani guys. So I was like, maybe instead of trying to fight these guys out in an excluded island or a beach, it's better to try to just calm it down a little.
So yeah, that's what went down. Fucking apparently that's only a portion of what actually happened. Some other shit went down. The fights continued. There was like 5 different times that shit broke out. And of course, as soon as everything was calm, they got Diaz out of there and stuff, and then Diaz and his team just bounced. They were like, fuck this, we're out, done with it. Which I don't blame them, because when you're surrounded by that many people and you're not gonna back down, you gotta think for your own safety and the sake of not getting in trouble in a foreign country. That maybe you should probably bounce, especially when there's that many problems and it's just gonna seemingly continue. So they're done, it's over, and Diaz is already back in the States from what I understand, and the show continues without him. Jon Jones is still there. Apparently Jon Jones is having fun partying with these guys and fucking hanging out and riding motorcycles, living his best life, he says. So that's what went down, and that's it for that show for Diaz. We'll see if we hear anything coming from him or his camp in the near future about any of this. Obviously we're hearing from Jake Shields now, as he talks about it on, I think it was his own podcast or something like that. But at least we got to see a little bit of it. That video wasn't the best quality, but I saw some other more clear videos and stuff like that, but it was even shorter than that and showed even less. Of course, there was some downtime in there. It didn't need to be shown, but I didn't want to have to cut it all up. It is what it is. It showed what it needed to show. You could tell that guy's a fucking problem, and I bet you anything he's still there and still on the show competing, which is crazy. That would never happen in the States, obviously, but this is happening in Thailand with a bunch of Russians. So I guess we can't expect much less, and we can't expect much less coming from the 209 gang and Nate Diaz. So he's out, he's done, it's over. We'll see if there's any repercussions or any backlash down the road. And that's it for that. So now let's get into some fight announcements that were announced this past week. We're getting the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, fighting Tellison Teixeira, which, crazy enough, Tellison Teixeira is only fought twice in the UFC, I think, and now he's in a main event for a fight night, which isn't so hard to believe, because being how fight nights have gone, recently, and the way that the matchups have been set up there, but it's just crazy. I mean, he came from the Contender Series. Oh, he's only 1-0 in the UFC. So his 2 fights have been the Contender Series, and now he's 1-0 in the UFC, and he's getting a main event, which is fucking crazy. Let's see, UFC Fight Night. It's happening July 12th, in Nashville, Tennessee, which is why, makes sense as to why Derek Lewis is headlining this. But yeah, he Telezin Teixeira is 8-0. He's on. Oh no, what just happened? Oh, that was weird. My monitor just kind of glitched out on me. Okay, we're good. So yeah, he's getting a main event after only 1 fight in the UFC. Fucking crazy. Just goes to show you like the kind of the state of the roster right now. It's a little weird. Who else we have on this card? Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia is the co-main. Lauren Murphy versus Eduarda Mora. Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez, and Vitor Pacino versus Austin Lane, who I cannot believe is still in the fucking UFC. This shit is insane. Austin Lane is 1-3 in his last 4 fights. Yeah, he got the win over Rubelas Despain in a unanimous decision when Despain looked like he was a fucking world beater. But I mean, it's just so crazy that we've seen fucking Austin Lane, who's an ex-NFL player. He played for the Jaguars. We've seen him get knocked out 3 times. His 3 losses in the UFC were knockouts. And then he's still fighting. It's crazy. I don't get it. I mean, yes, he lost to Justin Tafa, Johanata Diniz, and Mario Pinto. But those were all finishes. And then his only win in those 4 fights is the unanimous decision win against Rubelas Despain. I give him credit for, hanging in there with that beast. But holy shit, I can't believe he's still in the UFC. It's so crazy to me. But that's that card happening in Nashville on June 12th. Let's take a look at the another fight night card, another fight announcement, I should say. Marc-Andre Barrios versus Shara Bullet Magomedov. Just trying to pull up. So this one is, I got to get the date for this one. I think this one is happening in July 26th. So the July 26th. Okay, so that's the card that's being headlined by Robert Whittaker versus RDR, Rainier de Ritter. That's a damn good fight. I'm excited for that one. That's the main event for that card. Ibo Aslan versus Billy Alencana. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. That should be a good fight. And now Shara Bullet versus Marc-Andre Barrios, after Marc-Andre Barrios just fucking came off that huge win last week, or was it last week? I think so. That huge knockout win that he just got against Bruno Silva. Yeah, it was on May 10th. So a couple weeks ago. 315. That's right. That was on 315. So that was a nasty knockout. And coming off that, now he's fighting Shara Bullet. That should be fun. Shara Bullet coming off of his first ever loss in his career. He's now 4-1 in the UFC and 15-1 overall. And that was a loss to Michael Venom Page. So we'll see if Marc-Andre Barrios can hang with Shara Bullet, or if Shara Bullet comes out with a vengeance, to avenge that first loss of his. You never know how these guys are going to bounce back after losing that O. So it'll be interesting for sure. Against a good opponent too, coming off a gigantic win. We also have Asu Almabayev versus Ramazan Tamirov on that card as well. So some good fights on that one for a fight night. Not bad. Oh, you know what? I didn't even see, where's that one taking place? Because that last fight we talked about was in Nashville, Tennessee. Oh, this is the Abu Dhabi card. It's a fight night in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, should have guessed it with Shara Bullet fighting on that one. But let's see. I don't even know what letter we're on. Let me unmute this real quick so I can hear. Give me a name. Oh no. I might have to go back. No. This is weird. I feel like there's different names. Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. That's tough. I thought they were gonna flash names across the screen too, so that's even harder. I might have to just scroll back on this one and find her walk, unless she hasn't done it yet. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked there because I'm just trying to watch my knees on this. Okay, so getting back to this, more fight announcements. We have Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. This one should be damn good as well, because both these guys are fun to watch. Vettori's off and on though. That's the only thing with him. You know, you don't know which Vettori you're gonna get, but Brendan Allen has been on a tear, but I think he just recently lost. Let me pull this up real quick so I can be accurate here with what I'm saying. Yeah, Brendan Allen's been on a 3-fight losing streak. Why did I feel like... No, I'm sorry, 2-fight losing streak. His last loss was in grappling. So yeah, he lost to Nasruddin Imavov and Anthony Hernandez. Tough opponents there. His last win was against Chris Curtis in that split decision. Brendan Allen's just one of those guys though that is like, you know, he can come out and wreck shit, but so can Vettori. Vittori's got some power in those hands. He's coming off a loss to Roman Dolidze by unanimous decision. He has almost all of his fights recently have been decisions though, but it seems like he's always in a fucking war, and Brendan Allen is down. So that one's happening coming up on the Holloway versus Poirier card, UFC 318. So that should be a fun one. I think a lot of these that I have here are coming up on that card. Next up with the women, another UFC 318 fight announced. Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark. Battle of the cuties here. I like them both. Go look at their Instagrams. It's worth it. But Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci happening. Ricci's 11-3. She's coming off of a loss to Yan Xiaonan by unanimous decision, but she was on a 2-fight win streak before that. And Amanda Ribas, I believe, is coming off a loss as well to Mackenzie Dern. She's actually on a 2-fight losing streak, but those 2 fights were against Rose Namajunas and Mackenzie Dern. She lost to Dern by armbar and Rose by unanimous decision. So those are tough. Fuck. In her last 5 fights, she's 2-3. The third loss there is to Macy Barber. So I feel like when she gets a little higher in the competition, you know, a little more elite competition, she struggles. Her and Tabitha Ricci, I think, are kind of even right now. So I feel like this is going to be a damn good fight. I don't know who to go for. I think I followed Ricci a little closer, and I kind of root for her. I root for her a lot. So, oh man. Yeah, so I mean, this should be a fun fight. It's another good addition to this card. Let's see, who else do we have here? Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier for the BMF title. I just talked about Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen. Adam Fugit versus Islam Dulatov. Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci. Ikram Alaskarov versus Bruno Fajeda. Neil Magny versus Gunnar Nelson. That's the other fight also on this card. So that should be a good fight as well. I mean, you kind of got a more of a striker versus more of a grappler. Gunnar Nelson looked good in his last fight against Kevin Holland, but he did get the loss by unanimous decision. But I mean, I felt like he fought pretty well in that fight. Neil Magny's coming off a loss as well, if I remember correctly, to Carlos Prates, yeah, and Michael Morales. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. So you got a lot of fighters that are coming off of losses here, and but you know, a lot of good matchups. I think UFC 318 feel like is going to be a pretty damn good card. That one happening in New Orleans on July 19th. So that's going to be a fun one for that BMF title. Dustin Poirier's last fight of his career. He's retiring after this. We'll see if he shines bright like a diamond and goes out with that fucking belt, with that BMF title. There's rumors that they're going to get rid of the BMF and let Dustin be the last holder of that belt if he wins it. But I mean, that's just a rumor. I don't know 100%, but it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. I feel like it's going to be a great fight, man. Fucking Max Holloway, always fun to watch. Crazy fights always. And, you know, with that crazy knockout that got him that BMF title over Justin Gaethje. You know, he fought Ilya for the title in the lightweight division, but you know, or I'm sorry, in the featherweight division, but he unfortunately lost that one, first time getting stopped. But we'll see how he bounces back and how he fights against Dustin Poirier, kind of on the same level there. Poirier's also coming off a loss to Islam in a title fight as well. So, you know, you got two guys who probably fought their last title fights ever. You know, one of them that holds the BMF title right now, and they're going to fight it out and see who gets that belt. I know it's going to be a great one. So UFC 318 is going to be dope, happening July 19th in New Orleans. That's where Dustin Poirier is from. And that is that's a great way for him to go out too. So we'll see if he goes out on a win or not. This one's hard for me to, you know, pick sides on because I love both these fighters, and yeah, it's gonna be a good one. So all right, so that's it for the fight announcements. One more announcement, and that is a fight signing, and that's Kevin Lee, who was previously announced to be fighting for the GFL, but that's another reason why I want to talk about this one, because we got the GFL, who RIP, that shit is over. We haven't heard anything since the updates we got shortly after they had canceled that event, and now we haven't heard shit at all. We haven't heard anything. It's over. It's done. Now you see fighters that are signing in other places, and Kevin Lee is now signed with the PFL. You know, it was nice to see Kevin Lee coming back and getting into fighting again. You know, even if it was for an organization we never heard of and that was just starting up, and it's unfortunate what happened to that. There was a lot of big fights and a lot of big names that were going to fight in that, you know, in that organization, and that shit went downhill. They lost their funding and they didn't have a backup plan, so it's over. But Kevin Lee has found himself a new home in the PFL, and we all know that the PFL needs that help right now, considering that they've been losing all their big name fighters as well, because they're not making people happy. Ever since they took over Bellator, shit's just gone downhill for them. And maybe that's just me being negative, but that's pretty much how it's been. People are not happy. They're dropping the amounts that they're paying people, and you know, they're holding out on fighters that they should be fighting. Their biggest stars, Dakota Ditcheva and other people, struggle to get fights. Seeing people leave because they can't fulfill their contracts. Guys from Bellator are gone. Ryan Bader just signed with Ryzen, which is dope. But yeah, they couldn't do anything with these guys. They can't pay him. They can't find fights for him. They can't figure out what to do with the titles. They can't figure out Patchy Mix, you know, one of their other biggest stars, a champion in Bellator. They couldn't do shit with him. They let him go. Now he's with the UFC. Thank God for that, because that's going to be badass watching him fight in the UFC finally. You know, they couldn't hold on to Pitbull. Unfortunately, he didn't do well in his UFC debut. But, you know, it is what it is. He is older and stuff, and he could have done well for the PFL, and instead they let him go too, because they wouldn't give him fights and he was disgruntled. So that's what happens when you start, you know, taking on more than you can handle, and it sucks, but it is what it is, and it's over. So it's over for those fighters that have now left, and I don't know if they're going to see a lot of big names signing with them, but it's good, you know, good for Kevin Lee that he found himself somewhere to go, and I hope that they do better for him. I hope he does well there. He's a good guy. I always enjoyed watching him fight. You know, he did, you know, pretty well in the UFC. He was a contender for a while, had some great fights. Maybe not the best fighter in the world or whatever, but, you know, a good dude. So I wish him well in the PFL. Hopefully they do better for him there, and we'll see if things last at the PFL. I've been hearing a lot of crazy rumors about them and the troubles they're in with money, the troubles they're in with not being able to keep people happy on the roster, and yeah, I don't know. They have big events coming up. We'll say that because, you know, who knows? But that's it. That's done. GFL's done. PFL struggling. We don't have a close number 2, nowhere near close to the UFC, and the UFC's just coasting. Fuck. I should play that sound.
Fuck!
Because I don't. That's how I feel about the state of this sport right now. I know a couple shows ago I talked about it, but it just sucks, man. And too many people just don't care right now. So, but the UFC seems to have a lot of good matchups coming up. Nothing like back in the day, but it is what it is. At least we're getting shit. And after this week off, let's see. After this week off, before I completely end this, let me see what's coming up here. So next week's event is headlined by the women: Erin Blanchfield versus Macy Barber. We got Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. Billy Ray Goff versus Ko Seok Hyan. Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopez. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Oban Elliott. Nice, I like that. Zachary Reese versus Dusko Tudorovic. That's your main card. Prelim: Macy Chazon versus Ketlin Vieira. Ellen Nascimento versus Rafael Filio. Oh man, I got the hiccups. Trevin Giles versus Andres Gustafsson. Kurt Hullabov versus Jordan Levitt. That should be a good one. Markel Medeiros versus Bolaji Oki. That should be a good one. Rayando Santos versus Ellis Ardeline. And those are your prelims. So next week we got that to look forward to, and hopefully over the weekend we have some news coming from everywhere so that we have something good to talk about in the first show of next week. So that wraps it up for me today. And since we don't have anything to recap for next week, we'll rely on some news, and hopefully I'll find that. If not that, maybe we have other things happening. And I hope so. I'm looking for big things to happen and just, you know, fun stuff to take place. So we'll recap all that either Sunday or Monday. We have a holiday coming up on Monday anyway, so I won't have to work. We'll see what happens. So come back either Sunday or Monday. I know it's a little wishy-washy, but I'm still trying to tie it down and figure it out. And it's a long weekend, so who knows what's going to happen or come up. Appreciate you, Infinity, for sticking around the whole time. Everyone else, Combat Sports Today, always appreciate you guys. Ray Rodriguez, new subscriber, hopefully, and new person in the chat. Appreciate that. And everyone else who was able to join in and watch. And if you're watching this later, thank you again. You can catch it audio only, or audio and video on Spotify as well, or on any other platform you can catch the audio. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and come back probably Sunday and check out the next show. And then we'll be previewing next week's event with Erin Blanchfield and I already forgot who it is, Macy Barber, headlining that show. We'll be previewing that one next Thursday. So a couple more shows next week. Come back, join in, and look out for some other stuff in between. Thanks again. Appreciate you, everybody. That's it for me. I'm out. Peace.